most of you probably know, my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. Being a Holocaust survivor made things a lot more difficult, starting from the beginning years of his life. Pa managed to make it to America at the age of 19 and make it without any parents to help him out. He never relied on anyone for anything. He always accomplished whatever it was on his own. For someone to go through as much as he did in his lifetime is almost unbearable, but I'd leave it up to Pa Aaron to overcome it all. He was one of the most hardworking people I've ever known. It's one thing of many I'll always admire about him and strive to be like. Anybody who knows him knows what a joy he was to be around. He was one of a kind. He always managed to light up the room, no matter who was in it. Whether it was with his jokes or charm, everyone around him was always smiling. While Pa Aaron was in rehab for a week, despite all the pain he was in, he was always joking around with the nurses, which comes to show what an upbeat, positive person he was, no matter the circumstances. Being in Florida this past week with him and a half was a great gift from God. Just to be able to spend time talking to him while he was in his hospital bed was more than I can ask for. He's someone who I love dearly and have looked up to for more than 19 years. He's such an inspiration, not only to me, but to everyone that was around him. He had such a kind heart. He was always giving and never taking. He was the most amazing husband to Molo, especially through these last few years when it was harder than ever. I feel so blessed not only to have known him, but to have the honor of calling him my grandfather. I am constantly thinking of you, and you'll forever be in my heart.
Hello, everybody. One of the many things I learned from Grandpa Aaron was the importance of a good joke, and one of his best really showed how special this man really was. It goes like this. There were two men talking, and the first man says, "We went to the best restaurant last week, but I can't remember what it's called. What's that flower with the thorns that comes in the red and white?" And the second man responds, "A rose?" The first man turns to his wife and yells, "Yeah, Rose. What was the name of that restaurant?" As typical as this kind of detached and grumpy behavior may seem, nothing can be farther from the truth when it came to Grandpa Aaron. No matter who you were, man, woman, rabbi, pastor, mechanic, teacher, waitress, and especially a nurse, Grandpa Aaron was going to flirt with you. I assume many of you are here because you've been on the receiving end of that Jacoby charm. He wanted nothing more than for everyone he interacted with to feel as special as he truly believed them to be. Kindness was his greatest attribute, and an unabashed love for people, no matter what the circumstance or who the receiver. He loved a lot and he loved openly. Loving openly is no easy feat for any man, especially for one who went through the unspeakable horrors of his youth back in Europe. But he nevertheless grew into the beacon of unconditional support and affection that us grandchildren know so well. Anything we wanted, Grandpa Aaron needed for us to have it. No one knows where he was able to find as much kosher chocolate as he brought us, and come doomsday, we'll be able to prepare with a month's supply of Zuka bubblegum in the pantry. He always told me that I was his favorite grandchild. He called me his kid brother, and I'll bet everything I have that every other grandchild will tell you that they were his favorite grandchild, because they were. Everyone was his favorite. It's mind-boggling to most of us to understand that there's no sense of unspoken social hierarchy, but it really was that simple for him. Family and community came first, everyone else a close second. He was also a man of respect. Being fashionably late wasn't fashionable for Grandpa, as he would never insult you by coming late or steal a minute of your time. And nothing was below him. The weddings of bar mitzvahs he was invited to, where he wasn't so close to the person, and there were many of them, each was a big deal that truly touched him, and he raved and planned for months and months in advance. That's the reason no one is here to pay their respects, because you didn't owe Grandpa Aaron your respect. You wanted to give it to him. And unlike an IPO, there was no limit to his offerings. One final story that really sums up a fraction of what he stood for. On his last day, my parents and all of us were really nagging him about how he needed to walk to stay in shape, stay healthy, like he wasn't in rehab. And although he was in crazy pain, he didn't tell any of us, of course, because that would have been way too burdensome. But he said he would walk again tomorrow. He passed that night, and he clearly didn't know that the time was up. And the great part is, the fact that he didn't know didn't really matter. He had no need to get his affairs in order. He had no loose ends to tie up. Everything was exactly the way we would have liked it to be. Every day was his best, and he treated everybody the way we would treat others on our own deathbeds. He loved to the max and reaped every last kernel of joy that the Garden of Life had to offer. He did as he wished, he did what he believed was right, and best of all, those were one and the same. It's very rare that a man of God be so existential, as he did what made him happy, and bringing happiness to those around him is what made him tick. That's what Grandpa Aaron leaves us with today, and it's as pure and good a carpe diem as anyone could have lived. It would be wise to learn and take note. Thanks for being there for all of us, Grandpa.